You're listening to the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show with your hosts, the Fantasy Insider, Matt Brick, the Commish, Henry Brick, and the Doctor, Jeff Hathcock. You're listening to the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. I am Matt Brick, your host, with my co-host, Henry the Commish Brick, and Jeff the Doctor with no degree. How are we tonight?
Feeling great, man. We have football, finally. I loved every second of it. It was just awesome to watch. We found out a lot of things about a lot of guys. We found out what we were right about. We found out what we were wrong about. Of course, don't overreact, but, man, it was just great to watch some football.
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting. Listen, there were some dud games. There were some boring games, but there was also some really exciting games. I mean, I know the first half of last night's Monday night game that was, kind of falling asleep, and then that second half things just turned on and we got a game. So just a couple fun games here and there. I'm excited to just get down and dirty with you gentlemen tonight and talk some more football.
All right, let's get right into it. Let's go straight into the news. So George Kittle is on IR. He's out for 4 weeks minimum with a hamstring injury. Hopefully all goes well there and he gets back as soon as he can. Xavier Worthy left the game Friday in Brazil with a shoulder injury. He dislocated his shoulder. I haven't seen anything about if he'll be coming back this week or not, so keep an eye on that. Juwan Jennings left the game Sunday. He did have a shoulder injury. MRI came back clean, and the CT scans came back okay. So hopefully he will be able to play soon. Brock Bowers left the game Sunday with a knee injury. He wanted to return and said that he was fine. Evan Ingram left the game with a calf injury. Drake London left the game Sunday with a shoulder injury and is considered day-to-day. Josh Allen shocked the world on Sunday Night Football against the Ravens, winning 41-40. That game was crazy. They were up by 15 or something, the Ravens, and that fourth quarter just all went to heck there. So
Superman.
Yeah. Nuts. Brock Purdy has a shoulder and toe injury, which is uncertain to play Sunday, so keep an eye on Brock Purdy. Jaden Daniels popped up on the injury report yesterday with a wrist injury, and, of course, Jake Moody was waived by the 49ers. Now, I quickly want to go through some running back usage over Sunday, over this past week, just so we have more clarity on what's going on in some backfields. So here we go. Ken Walker had 40% snaps, 10 carries, 3 targets. Zach Charbonnet had 58% of the snaps, 12 carries, 0 targets. Austin Eckler, 47% of the snaps, 6 carries, 3 targets. Bill Merritt, Jacory Krosky-Merritt, 33% of the snaps, 10 carries, 1 target. And Jeremy McNichols, 19% of the snaps, 4 carries, 0 targets. Travis Etienne, 61% of the snaps, 16 carries, 3 targets. The new Philadelphia Eagle, Tank Bigsby, 21% snaps, 5 carries, 0 targets. And then Bashal Tootin, 6% snaps, 3 carries, 0 targets. Obviously, Tootin that'll probably turn into a 27 to 30% snap percentage for Tootin since Bigsby is gone. Jalen Warren had 45% of the snaps, 11 carries, 2 targets. Kenny Gainwell, 54% snaps, 7 carries, 4 targets. Caleb Johnson, the rookie, had 4% snaps, 1 carry, 0 targets. Breece Hall shocked everyone, in my opinion, had 58% of the snaps, 19 carries, 4 targets. Braylon Allen, that everyone was really hoping on, had 31% of the snaps, 6 carries, 0 targets. And Isaiah Davis had 13% of the snaps, 2 carries, 0 targets. Ramondre Stevenson had 65% snaps, 7 carries, 3 targets. Henderson, the rookie, 35% snaps, 5 carries, 6 targets. J.K. Dobbins had 53% of the snaps, 16 carries, 2 targets. R.J. Harvey had 29% of the snaps, 6 carries, 1 target. Tyrone Tracy Jr. This one I thought was a big one too. 74% of the snaps, 10 carries, 5 targets. Cam Scattaboo, 12% of the snaps, 2 carries, 2 targets. And finally, Jerome Ford had 54% of the snaps, 6 carries, 1 target. Dylan Sampson, 43% of the snaps, 12 carries, 8 targets. So everything was kind of crazy. I think Brees Hall was definitely the most shocking one of all because this team did not draft him. So, I mean, it looks like he's probably going to be the guy still as it stands right now. And I think, some of these aren't as surprising, but it's still really important for fantasy football. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, Brees Hall, man, the coach was toying with us in the offseason. The possible trade of him. Braylon Allen's really his guy. And man, talked me out of drafting him. And he is a beast. He looks exactly the way we wanted him to, at least last year. He looks
Yeah,
great, and he looks like a league winner.
he looks like a guy who's on his last year of his contract and he's playing for a big payday. I mean, I also think though rewatching like the Jets tape and stuff, I mean the Steelers defense is no joke. They have a good defense. They know what they're doing, and I mean Justin Fields played really well. And if Justin Fields being that dual threat, he threw the ball very very well, and I think it allowed Brees some lanes to run because they were thinking about Fields running instead. But the surprise to me, honestly, is Ken Walker and Charbonnet. Ken Walker, I mean, he was coming off the injury, so maybe that's something they wanted to try to ease him back in. But right there, Charbonnet had 58% of the snaps. As long as Ken Walker has been healthy and active, he's been that lead guy, and Charbonnet has played second fiddle, and it switched in week 1. So I mean, Charbonnet didn't do much with it. He kind of saved his fantasy outing, getting that touchdown. So he just squeaked by with, a little bit over 10 points. But I know plenty of Kenneth Walker drafters kind of scared. And I mean, they should be, because if Charbonnet keeps this up, people took Kenneth Walker in like that fourth round, and you're probably not going to get more bang for your buck if Charbonnet's eating into his workload like this.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I'm a Charbonnet owner myself, and I am just absolutely thrilled. So I can't wait to see what we get more within the next couple of weeks with that. All right, let's get into our stardom sit-em. I'll start it off this time. I feel like I rarely do that. So, all right, stardom sit-em. Let's start stardom. I have Brees Hall against the Bills. The Bills let Derrick Henry run all over the Bills on Sunday Night Football, and that's who the Jets play this week. Henry had 168 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. They allowed 238 rushing total, which is the worst in the league, 32nd. I think Brees Hall can do very well against this very poor rushing defense. Yes, obviously they are the Bills, and this is a divisional matchup, so they will play each other tough. I can't wait to watch that one. That's a good rivalry, and I think Brees Hall can have a day. My next start is Justin Herbert against the Las Vegas Raiders. I believe this is a Monday night game. I could be wrong. The Raiders allowed 276 passing yards from Drake May last week, making them 27th worst against the pass. Herbert completely dominated the Chiefs' defense last week in Brazil, throwing for 318 yards and 3 touchdowns. I'm expecting another monster week for Herbert. Last but not least, I'm going with Keon Coleman, who plays the Jets. The Jets defense allowed 244 passing yards and 4 touchdowns from Aaron Rodgers, which is the second worst against the pass in the league, 22nd worst in the against the pass in the league. Now they have to face Josh Allen, who had 394 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Keon Coleman was the most targeted receiver last week with 11 targets. on that team. 23. That's a 23.9% target share. I think Coleman could be having a great breakout year if he keeps this up. Henry, what do you got?
Yeah, just to follow up on your Monday night, it's a double header this week. You got the Bucks Texans at 7 Eastern, Chargers Raiders at 10 Eastern. So at least we get to get two more games on Monday night. My stardom and synonyms, I'm going with Drake May versus the Dolphins. Look what Danny Dimes did last week, right? And I'm going back to the well at wide receiver, Brian Thomas. He's gone up against the Bengals. They are at home. Bengals are going to go nuts this week, right? They're going to put up a lot of points, forcing Jacksonville to try to play catch up. And I think Brian Thomas should find the end zone for sure this week. Also, speaking at the same game, Chase Brown, Jags allowed second most yards per game last year, and Chase Brown had the second most opportunities last week with 24. So guess what? These are some great starts this week. And I can't stress it enough. You can't overreact on week one. Some of the things might be fine, but a lot of this stuff, A.J. Brown catching one ball last week, that's crazy. Going up against the Chiefs this week, I think he'll find some success. He is still coming off that hamstring. But, don't everyone unload your team after some poor outings. It's week one. They're clearly, a lot of these players aren't in shape because no one plays preseason anymore. It's crazy. And it shows on the field week one, right? So week two, they're going to get back into a rhythm and things will be okay. What do you got, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I have my own thoughts about Justin Fields going up against that stout Steelers defense, but he proved me wrong. I mean, I did not think he'd have a great outing, but he, like I said before, we were going over the news and notes. He looked great. Garrett Wilson's involved. He's Justin's running the ball. Those concerns I had right now, they're quite trivial. The new signal caller provided just to be, he's a scoring machine. He's racking up one passing touchdown and a pair on the ground. He finished with 256 yards and 29.5 fantasy points. I don't expect another 30-point outing for him, but he's a dual threat quarterback. He's going up against Buffalo, who just, they pretty much let the Ravens do everything they wanted to him up until like the last quarter of the game. And I think Fields' rushing upside, still puts him in that fantasy starting territory until proven otherwise. I know we're targeting that Bengals defense. Travis Etienne, like we were talking about before, Tank Bigsby's not there anymore. Etienne just had a great workload. In the beginning, there was a lot of questions about the backfield in Jacksonville heading into the season. I think they just helped us answer those questions. With Tank Bigsby, he's expected to be the lead rusher. He received just 5 carries and turned them into 12 yards. He was then traded to the Eagles on Monday. And on the other hand, Etienne had 16 rushing attempts. He converted those carries into 143 yards and tallying 3 receptions on top of that. And sure, LaQuinn Allen and Bashal Tootin might eat into some of the work. I mean, I wouldn't see why not. But right now, I have Etienne as a running back too, with obvious upside against the Bengals defense that didn't exactly light the world on fire with their 1-point win over Cleveland. And then Tyler Warren, he was taken 14th overall in the 2025 draft, and there was concerns about the the quarterback room, whether it was Daniel Jones or Richardson. And apparently those worries are just unnecessary. The dude is just that good. Jones resembled, Josh Allen in the season opener against Miami, whose defense is, probably just subpar at best. He had 272 passing yards, a touchdown with 26 yards and 2 scores on the ground. And that's Daniel Jones. He's nothing special. Warren was his top guy. He had 7 receptions for 76 yards in his NFL debut. And if he keeps this up, I mean, I think he's going to be neck and neck with fighting with Brock Bowers for a long time, and Trey McBride as well, for just being one of the top tight ends in the mix. The Broncos are no joke defensively, and it's not realistic to think he's going to have a smash of a game. But I definitely think right now with Jones under center, I think Warren's going to have an immediate impact. and he's not going to have the best corners on him at all times. They're going to be shadowing Michael Pittman, who had a nice game as well, and they still have Josh Downs to deal with. So I think Tyler Warren's still slated to have a very good week this week.
All right, let's get into our sit-ems. First, you are listening to us on Cruising 92.1 WVLT Vineland, and you're also listening to us live on YouTube. I will let everyone know my sit-ems. Here we go. I have Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews on Sunday Night Football put up a complete stinker against the Bills with only one target, one catch for 5 yards. That's 1.5 fantasy points. I'm actually considering dropping him. It's just not what anyone wanted for Mark Andrews. This week, the Ravens have the Browns, who have been known to play them very tough. Last week against the Bengals, this is what the Browns did. Noah Fant caught 4 balls for 26 yards and a touchdown, which is 12.6 fantasy points. Not bad. Not great either. Andrews has averaged 4.2 catches, 53.9 yards, and 0.8 touchdowns against the Browns in his career. On average, that's 15.39 fantasy points. But the Browns defense also had Joe Burrow to 113 yards and a touchdown, completely shutting him down. That's the second best against the pass in the league. I think it's safe to say I don't love the matchup for Mark Andrews. This Thursday night, do yourself a favor and bench your Washington running backs, whether that be Austin Eckler or Bill Merritt. Why? They play the Green Bay Packers on defense Thursday night that everyone is so hyped up about. They are tied for first against the run. They only allowed 46 rushing yards from the Lions, a.k.a. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery last week. This is a major sit for Austin Eckler and Bill Merritt. I also just don't love Thursday night football games. I feel like they're always fantasy traps. But yeah, obviously play the Packers defense. They'll do great, I'm sure. But watch out for those Washington running backs. Last but not least, Michael Pittman is a complete sit this week. He's going up against Patrick Surtain, and Denver is the number one defense against the pass, allowing 112 yards from Cam Ward. But Matt, Cam Ward is just a rookie quarterback. Well, per Next Gen Stats, Pat Surtain did not allow a catch as the nearest offender on his 34 coverage snaps for the 8th time in his career.
That guy's pretty good, Matt, huh?
Yeah, I think he was Defensive Player of the Year last year. Pretty well done at corner. He was targeted once and broke up the pass. He was lined up against Calvin Ridley 84% of the time. Do yourself a favor. Bet the unders on Michael Pittman's stats come Sunday. All right. Jeff, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so I've got I'm going back to the well here. Jalen Waddle. The Dolphins weren't just decimated by Indy in the season opener. They just got embarrassed on both sides of the ball. Tua looked like a shell, the former signal caller back from Miami's 2023 high octane offense. He just completed 14 of 23 passes for 114 yards, 1 touchdown, and had 2 interceptions. That gives me zero confidence in the fantasy outlook for his receivers. I mean, unless something changed drastically, Waddle was a relative no-show against Indy. He had 4 or 5 targets for 30 yards. He also got banged up in the game. In the Patriots secondary, they didn't exactly dominate against Geno Smith in Week 1, but the defensive unit is good enough to, especially to give a struggling team some problems this week. You've got Isaiah Pacheco. I don't know if you guys saw that game, but it was a disaster for the run game. Despite it being his quote-unquote revenge tour, the angry downhill rusher, he managed just 25 yards on 5 attempts. 5 attempts is insane.
Hey, 5 yards to carry, Jeff. 5 yards to carry.
Yeah, 5 yards to carry. I don't know if he's going up against a good defense this week, but it's it might be another massacre like it was this past Super Bowl. We'll see, but I don't trust them going up against that Eagles defense. Kareem Hunt's still somehow in the mix at 50 years old, and then they got the rookie Brashard Smith mixing in as well. I just don't think it's going to get any easier against the Eagles defense that allowed Javonte Williams to average 3.6 yards per attempt. He did score twice. He fell into the end zone, which is great. But I just don't think Kansas City's running backs have a great shot at doing much this week. And then the last guy, Cooper Kupp. He was once the elite of the elite. He was a great fantasy option. But the 32-year-old, he's just a shell of his former self, it looks like. Just has the inability to create any separation. It just makes him all but unplayable. And, it sucks to say, but he's a drop for me. I wouldn't bat an eye if I was, looking to send him to the waiver wire if I had him on my teams. Luckily, I don't, so I don't even have to make that decision. I didn't draft him at all this year. And JSN is pretty much the only pass catcher I want on this offense right now.
Listen, if your fantasy team gives points for blocking, Cooper Kupp is excellent. As per the coach.
He's your guy for sure.
Yeah, he's shut out. All right, guys. I got Calvin Ridley. I think I had him last week. I have him again this week. Yeah, he goes up against the Rams, who gave up a total of 188 yards through the air and no touchdowns. And Cam Ward, he's still figuring things out. So he's a big sit for me, along with Calvin, Cam and Calvin. And I'm with you, Jeff, with the Dolphins here, right? I'm very hesitant to start them. The implosion looks like it's already started. We saw Tyreek Hill on the sidelines with all his frustration, all the ridiculousness. This week he goes up against the Pats, and I feel like, look, with Tua there and Tyreek Hill, I think you probably have better options, hopefully anyway, to start this week. But these guys, they're sits. I think if week one was a telling of anything, it told me to sit them until I see something happen over there.
All right, let's get into our famous Dude I'm Sorry segment. We will look over what we said about last week, and we will apologize for what we got wrong. I'll start it off. Last week, I told you to sit Garrett Wilson, who, of course, had 7 catches, 95 yards and a touchdown. And thank God I didn't listen to myself because I did end up starting him. And for that, dude, I'm sorry. However, I did tell you to start Dylan Sampson, who had 12 carries for 29 yards and 8 catches for 64 yards. For that, dude, you're welcome. Henry, why don't you give us your dude I'm sorry statement of the week?
All right, guys. Last week, I liked Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas as a stack. Lawrence finishes 19 for 178 and 1 touchdown. And to make it worse, Brian Thomas, 1 catch for 11. For that, dude, I'm sorry. However, I will tell you this. As you guys both know, I was very, very high on J.J. McCarthy. And, hey, the first half, I was ready to turn on Goff, to be honest.
You and me both, buddy.
Okay? And I was like, wow, did I really miss this? And as it turns out, I didn't, because the second half, the coach let him loose. I think he only had 8 attempts the first half, okay? Second half, he was forced in. The coach was forced to let him get into a rhythm. And once the kid got into a rhythm, he threw for 2 touchdowns, and he ran the ball in for a 3rd touchdown. So guess what? This guy, for his first game, he had a serious NFL-worthy, hero-worthy second half, and it's just the beginning of a beautiful season. And for that, dude, you're welcome.
So listen, I had David Njoku with Flacco starting. I had him as a start. I've taken him in drafts, but I did not expect Harold Finn Jr. to just break out the way he did. So Njoku's got a lot cut out for him, even though he's boys with Flacco, and they're all brotherly love. Njoku just went 3 for 6 for 37 yards, while Fannin he caught 7 of his 9 targets for 63 yards. So I mean, I'm sure Flacco is going to be running the ball a lot until they get this running game situated with Judkins coming back. But who knows if he's going to be playing this week? But right now, David Njoku at best, I'd probably be looking to just drop him altogether. Try to pick up something else on the waiver wire, because right now, I mean, maybe Harold Fannon's available, but I mean, still with those two eating into each other's work, it just wasn't a great day for Njoku. But on the flip side, I thought Michael Penix was going to have a great game against Tampa. I mean, he had an okay game. He had a touchdown, didn't throw for any interceptions, but he threw the ball 42 times, which is pretty insane. He was QB 10 on the week, had 27 completions. So if you're like me and you didn't have any of the the crazy top 4, top 5 quarterbacks, and you kind of waited to the very end to get a guy, if you have Michael Penix, he didn't hurt you. That's for sure. So if you played him, great. If not, try and listen. Yeah, that's what I got, gents.
All right, let's quickly do our DFS lineups of the week. This week, I have Jalen Hurts at 6,800 at quarterback going up against the Chiefs. I think they will make a statement by passing the ball a lot more. They didn't really pass the ball that much against the Cowboys. I feel like Hurts was running a lot, so I'm going with Hurts. James Conner at 6,600. I like the value there. I do think Conner does get the ball, so I like Conner at that value. Breece Hall, like I said earlier, he's a beast. I think he'll go crazy against the Bills. 6,200. I got Marquise Hollywood Brown at 5,200. I think that's a great value there as well, especially with Worthy a little bit on, he might not play. So I like Hollywood Brown there. Drake, I do have Drake London in here. Obviously, if he doesn't play, don't put him in. But as of right now, I have him in at 6,500. And Jackson Smith and Jigba, who got a whole bunch of targets. I believe it was 11 at 6,000. I think they played the Steelers. And the Steelers, yes, the Steelers and the Jets game was really odd because both defenses going into it are very excellent defenses. But it's kind of funny because both quarterbacks knew both defenses because they played for the same team, like the teams before. It's very interesting. So start Jackson Smith and Jigba is what I'm trying to say. All right, tight end. I'm going with Harold Fannin. What the heck? At 3,100 and all those targets, give me some Harold.
Yes, sir.
I'm liking this rookie here. And like Jeff was saying, Njoku wasn't really. It was odd. He was on the field. He was blocking, and Fannin was getting. I mean, listen. I'm sure this can go back and forth with the targets all year. So we'll see. I think everyone's kind of in on Fannin right now after that performance. So I'm all in. Let's do it. Harold Fannin, 3,100. And then at my flex, I got Chase Brown at 6,800. I think that's a pretty solid flex start there. And the Patriots defense at 2,800. The Patriots, I forget. I think they play the Dolphins this week. So I think that I don't think that needs any more explanation. Let's go with Henry. What do you got?
You want me to go? Or where's Jeff?
You go.
Me? Okay, you got it. All right. All right, here we go, guys. I'm liking Justin Herbert, 5,900 this week. He goes up against the Raiders, Monday Night Football, the late game on the East Coast. Chase Brown, 6,800, going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. They'll be home. He's a beast. And I'm going to go with CMC, right? I mean, he carried the weight this week for all running backs in the NFL. He is playing the hapless Saints, and with Brock Purdy in possible doubt, the whole offense will be McCaffrey for sure. I'm sticking with the Niners with Ricky Pearsall. Now, I will change that if Purdy is out. Okay, he will only be in if Purdy's playing, but he's a great value at 5,300. Brian Thomas Jr., as I said earlier, I'm sticking with him. I think he's going to. They're going to have to play a lot of catch-up ball in Cincinnati, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and at 6,700, I think he's going to put up the big points and come back out of the one catch he had for 11 yards last week. Terrible, right? Okay. Garrett Wilson, I'm with you. Matt, Garrett Wilson, what's he, $6,500. Buffalo shows that they have zero defense, which is a beautiful thing. And I have a little bit to talk about later in the show about Harold Fannin, but I love him at the tight end position. 3,100. That's a great value. Keenan Allen. Okay. He's going to be, that's my little stack with Herbert on Monday night. 4,800. Great value pick. And I'm sticking, like I did last week, with the Cardinals defense going up against the hapless Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young, I was expecting some big things. And week one, he looked terrible. Here's a guy I thought, wow, maybe he'd be a good QB2 this year. Pick him real late in the draft, and terrible, just absolutely terrible. So,
Jags defense is pretty solid, so keep that in mind. Better than I would say arguably better than the Cardinals. But Jeff, what do you got?
Yeah. So I'm going with Josh Allen. I think this is going to be a shootout. I really do. The way I'm looking at it right now, I mean, he's Superman. There's nothing this guy can't do. If Justin Fields and this offense are going to put points on the board and are going to force Allen to have to put points on the board, I just think he's going to be that overall one finish again. I'm also going with Christian McCaffrey. You got Brock Purdy, who's got the toe injury, the shoulder injury. They're going up against a depleted defense with the Saints. So I mean, he had the most touches out of every running back in week one. Why not? Why can't he do it 2 weeks in a row? And if they're leaning on McCaffrey, I love that spot. I love James Conner this week, especially 6,600. I think he's going to have himself a great game. I've got Garrett Wilson. We're all on the Garrett Wilson train, which kind of scares me a little bit. But you know what? Maybe we're just that good at football, and we know Garrett Wilson's going to have another game. I also have it because if Josh Allen is going to score, I'm hoping Garrett Wilson's going to have to help the Jets score as well. I've got George Pickens, 5,800. I talked about it last week. I didn't think he was going to have that great of a week going up against the Eagles. Turned out to be right, but I think he has a bounce back game this week against the Giants. I think he's going to have a very nice week. Jaden Higgins, he looked good in his debut. Stroud struggled a little bit, but I got it for 4,300. I think he's a great number 2 target. I don't think Kirk's going to be back in that lineup anytime soon. So right now he's he went up against a tough Rams defense. But Stroud looked for him. He looked for him often and got in touch with him. Tucker Kraft, 3,700. I mean, listen, he was a great pick last week. I mean, we got all these injuries. I mean, Jaden Reed showed up, but Matthew Golden didn't have a great game. Tucker Kraft is he's reliable. He's got that tight end room on lock, and until they get all these other guys back to kind of clog everything, I think he's still a great spot. And then in the flex, I got Travis Etienne, 5,700. We talked about it before. Tank Bigsby's gone. You've got LaQuint Allen and Bashal Tootin, who are probably going to work in a little bit, but I like Travis Etienne this week. And then for defense, I'm going with the Patriots. I mean, whoever's playing against Miami, I'm going to probably be picking that defense, especially in DFS, because it's too good right now.
Yeah, I mean, earlier, I have the Patriots defense as a good, or later, it's a good defense to pick up. Also with the Patriots and the Rams. So yeah, let's keep moving on. Let's go with our sleepers and long shots. Let's see. This week I have Malik Washington with Waddle being hurt. I don't think he came back in that game, did he? I don't think he did. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've loved Malik Washington ever since he came out of college. I've been waiting for this breakout for dynasty purposes, but he could take the field if Waddle misses time. So that is my long shot. Henry, who do you have?
There we go. All right, guys. Got your pens ready? I'm going to try to help you out here. All right. Kenny Gainwell. He actually looks like he's going to be a nice part of this offense. He's the number 2, obviously. He actually had 3 less carries than the apex predator, Jalen Warren. And he caught three balls out of the backfield, which is nice. So, if Jalen Warren gets hurt, Gainwell is obviously the guy there, and could be down the road a guy that you count on because Warren's a little back. My second guy, sticking with the same team, Calvin Austin. Clearly, a nice deep threat. He's got the speed. He finished the game with 4 for 70 and a touchdown last week, and was only outsnapped by DK Metcalf. So I do like Calvin Austin, and he isn't available in a lot of leagues for sure. But if you really want to go deep, guys, we're talking very deep. Elik Ayermanner, the clear number 2 behind Calvin Ridley in Tennessee. Obviously not a big game because they're still figuring out stuff over there. Cam Ward's still figuring things out, and this is probably not a week to even start him. But if you got a spot on your bench, I think you're going to see this kid blossom as Cam Ward starts to figure out life and how to throw the ball and get the ball downfield. He's going to be a big target for this team. So there's my deep sleepers, boys.
Nice. I did a little bit of digging, and I did catch Drake May and that offense going up against Las Vegas. And Kayshon Boutte, he's been Drake May's top target since late last season. He's got over 1,100 air yards with May, and it's nearly double of the next highest patriot on the team. In week 1, he led the team in nearly every receiving stat. He had 8 targets. He scored 16.3 fantasy points. And he could have himself a great game against this Dolphins secondary. If you're really looking for help, maybe you picked up that Rashee Rice or you had Xavier Worthy, and you're looking for a guy to kind of just throw in that lineup. I think he's a nice shot in the dark, and maybe he can help you this week.
All right, let's get into the main event, the waiver wire pickups.
Yes.
It is officially waiver wire Tuesday.
Yes.
That means that you got to get your waivers in. Don't forget. So I'll start it off. Quentin Johnson, right? I'll probably be one of the highest targeted guys tonight. Johnson was targeted 7 times. He got 5 balls for 79 yards and caught 2 touchdowns. That is a 20.5% target share. He's available in 96% of ESPN leagues and 16% on sleepers. So keep an eye on that. For a frame of reference, I actually got him today for $20, which is 10% of my fab in my league there. So look at that. Go get Quentin Johnson if you can. Obviously Keenan Allen too. If you Chargers wide receivers are good. So the other guy is what the commissioner just talked about, Calvin Austin. He had 6 targets, caught 4 of them for 70 and a touchdown. That's 20% target share. He's available in 97.6 of ESPN leagues and 38% on sleeper. I'd pay probably like $5 for him. Jeff, why don't you give us who you got?
Yeah, first guy I'm looking at, Juwan Johnson. He saw 11 targets, which led all tight ends. He finished with 8 catches for 76 yards and led the Saints. His the backups right there, Foster Moreau, Taysom Hill, they're all in the pup. So for at least until week 5, he's going to be heavily involved. He had this past Sunday, he ran 47 to 47 possible routes. And yes, New Orleans dropped back that many times to throw the football, which is kind of insane. So especially if you were one of the unfortunate teams who drafted George Kittle, I think he's an awesome pickup. especially where you're looking for something. If he's on the wire, I would definitely look to take him. And then listen, on the same shoe, there's no Rashee Rice for the next 5 weeks. There's no Xavier Worthy if this shoulder turns out to be as worse as I think it's going to be. So Marquise Brown, he's just another must start for me. He saw more targets, which was 16, and caught more passes, which was 10, than any other player in Week 1. He scored 19.9 fantasy points in PPR, ranked 8th at the position, and the role should remain steady up until we start getting some of these other guys back. But Mahomes prioritized him. He had a 42% of the team target share, which I know is insane. But that ranked between the likes of Garrett Wilson and CeeDee Lamb for 4th among players. So I think definitely, especially if you're looking for help at wide receiver, he's a go-to guy. I know it's a tough matchup this week, but knowing Andy Reid, he's going to try to get him open early and often. And at the very least, they're going to force even targets. So if you're in a PPR league, maybe he could just PPR his way, and cheat his way to a good day.
Man, that's great stuff, Jeff. As always, Doctor. Okay, I got Daniel Jones, two rushing touchdowns, a passing touchdown. He went 22 for 29, 272 yards, plus 26 rushing yards on the ground. Very proficient in the Shane Steichen offense. And guys, could be this year's Sam Darnold. Just saying, throwing it out there. Okay. You already mentioned it. Kayshon Boutte, wide receiver for the New England Patriots, 8 targets, 6 catches for 103. I think the guy's probably one of May's favorites and an easy pickup if he's available in your league. But guys, I mentioned it earlier. I was going to bring this up. My number 1 waiver wire pickup of the week, and could be for the year. Okay, could be for the year. It's going to have to be Mr. Harold Fannin. 9 targets, 7 catches, 63 yards, and guys, 1 carry for 3 yards. I don't know if you saw that. He is looking like Cleveland's version of Brock Bowers. I mean, what do you think? I mean, this guy's a beast, and he's out there to be picked up this week for sure. Play him in your DFS, get him in your lineup this week. I think he can win your week for sure.
All right, before we get into buy low, sell high, I was thinking we could talk about some drop candidates and see what you guys think. Like Tank Bigsby, he just got traded to the Birds. Is he droppable?
Yes, sir. Yes, he is. I had him in actually in 2 weeks, and he's dropped. He's done with. The Eagles were talking about they want him as a punt returner. I'm out. You've got Shipley's banged up, but Saquon. I don't want any part of a guy who's probably the 3rd or 4th string running back on the team.
Yeah, I agree with you for sure. Until we see the Madden curse take hold of Mr. Barkley, Bixby is definitely a drop for me. But you got A.J. Dillon there, who looks great. My thinking was with Shipley hurt, A.J. Dillon steps right in. Now you have Bixby in there. But Matt, you actually made a great point last night to me about Bixby that he's still on his rookie contract. Is that right? And
yes, he is.
And A.J. Dillon probably walks at the end of the season. So
yes, he will.
Right. So maybe Dillon's there just for insurance. So that's why they bring Bixby in. So.
What about Caleb Johnson? See a drop.
If you drafted Caleb Johnson, you probably didn't take him in the very late rounds. You probably paid a middle round pick for him. But if you also drafted Caleb Johnson, you were under the impression that he was not going to get the starting job in the beginning. So for me, he's a hold. If you watch this tape and you know what kind of system he's in with Arthur Smith, he's in the system that he needs to be in to be effective in the NFL. It just happens to be that Aaron Rodgers is his quarterback, and Aaron Rodgers has a certain type of veteran player that he wants by his side, and Jalen Warren fits that bill. He's a veteran. He's great in pass blocking, and they talked about in the offseason, these were things that Caleb Johnson needed to work on. Caleb Johnson himself said, "Hey, these are things I need to work on to help the team get better and to help myself get better." So for me, no, he's a hold. I'm not dropping him because I believe in him. Is he going to be a top 5 running back? No. Can he be a top 24 running back in the NFL with this scheme? Yes, he definitely can be. So he's a hold for me.
I agree with everything Jeff said, but just to kind of pivot off of also what you said, bringing up Aaron Rodgers for just a second. How about 4 touchdowns from this old guy, right? And I also talked about Danny Dimes putting up a great performance. These are guys you could have gotten your last round of your draft. A lot of them both these guys are still in waivers that you can pick up this week. And I bring this point up only because this is why you don't draft a quarterback early. These 2 guys outperformed all the stars that were projected out there this week, right? Maybe not Buffalo's
Not Josh
quarterback,
Allen.
not Josh Allen.
He's the best.
But you also spent probably a 3rd-round pick on Josh Allen, and some weeks 2, which is crazy, right? Yeah. When you pick a guy that early in the 2nd or 3rd round, it keeps you from getting a stud running back or a stud receiver that can help you probably a little bit more as the season goes on, because quarterbacks, the difference between the 1 and the 8 maybe only be a few points. It's not enough to take them that early for me anyway. I mean, look, if you took Joe Burrow, how you feeling right now? You're looking, well, can I pick up Danny Dimes? I mean, are you kidding? Joe Burrow, he did nothing. Terrible.
You can make the same argument that taking Josh Allen, and even though I'm taking, in my opinion, the number 1 quarterback of the season year long, I can still just pick up Aaron Rodgers after week 1, who played his former team.
You can, but also who didn't you get? I mean, you could, it's always good to review your drafts. Who did you miss in those rounds where you took Josh Allen? That's all I'm saying. If you're looking for good balance, there's still good value at the end of the end of the draft, especially a quarterback.
I mean,
all right.
Just to talk.
I got 2 more guys. Braylon Allen. You dropping Braylon Allen? I think I might.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, if Breece Hall continues to look like Breece Hall from this past week, yes. Right now he's a hold, but I definitely think I think he's worthy of hovering over that drop button. But I mean, it's always nice to have that handcuff. I mean, Breece has been hurt before. He's had the ACL injury before. Things can happen. He is the direct backup right now. But right now I would hold on to it just because, things can change. Situations change. He is the direct handcuff. And if Breece Hall is running the way he's running and the line is working. Another thing too, the Jets spent money on the trenches. You got all these, the Bears are getting, they got the Colston Loveland, the Luther Burden, and they're piecing together their line. You build in the trenches. Eagles are the perfect example. They build on both sides, defense and offense. They build through the trenches, and then they expand out and get what they need. That's how you win football games. Yeah. And if Breece Hall is getting these lanes open, I think they're definitely going to be a good team to watch this year. They're going to be exciting at the very least. And if Breece Hall goes down or he misses time, I think Braylon Allen is still a good spot.
I think you make a great point there about Braylon Allen, and I think you go after the owner that has Breece Hall and you make a trade because that guy wants Braylon Allen. He wants him as that. He is the ultimate handcuff, and if he does go down, you got the guy right there. So he has value to that owner. So speaking of guys to trade, that's one of the guys I would trade. I wouldn't drop. I'd trade him.
Okay, last but not least, I got Mark Andrews. One catch for 5 yards. Are you dropping Mark Andrews?
I'm not dropping him. I'll tell you why. It's week 1, and I think this is one of the guys you don't want to overreact to. He's still a stud. He's still the guy there. Lakely's hurt, right? And that was just a crazy, crazy game. What a great game to watch as a fan, for sure, especially for fantasy. But I'm not dropping Andrews yet. As a matter of fact, if you want to trade him to me, I'm willing to take him.
Would you rather have Fannin or Andrews?
Ooh, Fannin. I'd go.
Okay, see, so you're dropping Andrews. You know what I mean? That's the question.
For me, I'm not a big believer in the Browns offense. And at the end of the day, touchdowns, they win you games. And I mean, I know he came off the most touchdowns he scored last year. And I don't know if everyone forgets, but last year he started the year pretty terrible. Does everyone remember like the goose eggs in a row? Because I do.
Yeah.
Because I know, especially in our dynasty league, I had him.
Right.
And it was rough.
Yeah.
And I had to sit there and you fight through it, I mean, listen, even the best guys, they're going to have up and down games. I don't think Mark Andrews is in that top echelon anymore. I think he's gotten older. The offense is kind of, gone away from him. They got Zay Flowers now. Rashad Bateman's he's a decent wide receiver as well. And they got Derrick Henry. I mean, they got the king who's still just doing
awesome,
his thing.
Man. He
awesome.
is
Incredible.
Yep.
And I think Lamar still will look for him, but they didn't need him. They really didn't need him. Like they scored 40 points without him. And it helps when Derrick Henry's carrying the ball, 13 times and he's got 140 yards because they're just doing whatever they want on the ground. Right. So for me, I mean, I wouldn't drop him. I would try to bench him. Like if I can drop if I'm carrying a Braylon Allen on my bench, who's just sitting there, and I have to think between, do I drop Mark Andrews and then let someone else pick him up, and then Mark Andrews goes and scores 10 touchdowns this year, and I just gave him up for nothing, and Braylon Allen just sits on my bench because Breece Hall's healthy. Maybe that's when I say, oh, you know what, he's a backup running back. I'll just drop him. I'll take Harold Fannin and maybe just start him and see how he's doing for the next couple of weeks, and see if anything with Mark Andrews works out. But I would hold him for now. I wouldn't drop him.
I mean, I think game flow has a lot to do with the usage. We just watched the Eagles game that game flow suggested to throw one ball to A.J. Brown, which I'm still shaking my head about. It's unbelievable. So, but this week they go up against the Chiefs, who are great against the run, which will force Philly to have to pass the ball and get Devonta Smith more engaged, A.J. Brown more engaged, and I think you'll see more passing. So it also depends on that. Now, there's tape on what they just did to the Bills. Everyone's going to try to come up with a scheme to stop Derrick Henry, and that's going to open up the passing lane. So, again, I don't think you overreact. It's week one. This is a thing where you don't overreact.
All right. I think that's going to do it for us. Honestly, I think we killed it. We had I don't know. I thought it was a weird week one. There was a lot of no-name touchdowns. They were showing all the money you could have made if you bet the one guy, the backup tight end for the Niners, and Davis Allen, I want to say his name is.
No, isn't it Tongers?
Oh, David. No, I'm talking about the Rams guy.
Oh, the Rams guy.
Yes, you're talking
Davis. Was it Davis Allen?
Davis Allen for Rams. Yeah. Tongs is the guy to back up for
Kittle.
Kittle, right.
Yeah. I did want to shout out though. Back to the quarterback stuff real quick. Justin Herbert. He's going to have himself a year.
Yeah, man.
He's great. I think he's going to have, after watching that game.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of weapons.
You're going to think that that team's going to come out, run the ball. And Hampton, by the way, who didn't have a ton when he did run, he looked great. He's going to be something for sure. But
they got themselves a team right now. They're well coached.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm really excited to watch the Chargers this year.
Yeah. Hey, we have that buy low, sell high situation we have to go over, Matt.
Okay, all right, let's do it quickly.
All right, buy low. I'm buying low on A.J. Brown. One catch, okay? Buy low on him right now. Okay. By the way, if a guy like me has him, he's available. Just letting everyone know. Okay. Sell high. I'm selling high on James Conner. Okay. Jeff, if I had James Conner, I'd sell him to you absolutely right now. I know you love James Conner.
I would take him. I love him.
I'm going to tell you why. Trey Benson, he looked good. He looked
I'll
like
take
he had
Trey
a lot
Benson
more
too.
pop. He had a lot more pop than James Conner, and he's the heir apparent for sure. He made it pretty clear to me. So they're my two buy low, sell high candidates.
Yeah, just real quick, I said he was gonna have a rough game, but buy low Dak Prescott. I think Dak's he's gonna throw the ball a lot this year. They're gonna need to stay in games. Buy low on Dak Prescott. Sell high Michael Pittman. Matt talked about it before. He thinks he's gonna struggle this week. Michael Pittman. I don't believe in this Colts offense. I believe in Tyler Warren, but not the Colts offense as a whole. Sell high on Michael Pittman.
All right, I had the Seahawks running backs. Go buy Zach Charbonnet. I think he's gonna take that job and go sell Ken Dog Walker when you can, because I don't. It's not, and I don't know. I've always been scared of him because he gets hurt, but it's not looking good for him. All right, that's good. That'll do it. Thank you for listening.
Boys.
Have a good one.
Have a good week.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on Twitter at KAF Football.